All right, folks, thank you for joining us. This is Kent Hovind in Pensacola, Florida, talking to you live here on our truthradio.com radio broadcast. And it's good to be with you. Today's date is December 17th of 03. If you're listening on the 17th, it is live. If you are, it's not the 17th, then hopefully we're still alive, but the program isn't live. My son Eric will be here to join me in just a few moments. He's got a couple of important phone calls he's making. Well, what we're doing here on our program, we're defending the idea that the Bible is literally true and scientifically accurate, and the evolution theory is one of the dumbest and most dangerous ideas in the history of the world. It didn't happen. Okay? What a dumb idea. We all came from a rock 4.6 billion years ago. Hey, that's what they believe. Okay, I respect their right to believe that. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's they're going to feel real dumb for all of eternity, you know, if they're getting fooled for something like that. But hey, that's okay. You can believe what you want. But I don't mind if they believe that. I do resent, though, them using my tax dollars to pay for that religion to be taught in the textbooks. Now, that we do resent. Let me share a few testimonies and give a few announcements here. Then we'll get started here, get some of the housekeeping done. The Creation Seminar Conference, we have a Southeast Creation Seminar coming up this September 17, 18, 19. You ought to come to that. Pensacola, Florida. It's our first ever and hopefully first annual Southeast Creation Conference. We're going to have Dr. Carl Baugh come, my good friend from Glen Rose, Texas, who's on TBN every week with his program Creation in the 21st Century, and lives right in Glen Rose, Texas, where the footprints are found. Been doing research for a long time on the creation evolution topic. We're also going to have Jack Cavazzo come, who is an expert on the Neanderthals and the hoax about the Neanderthals being the missing link. And we'll have Dennis Swift, one of the world's experts on the Ica stones found in Peru with dinosaurs and humans together on the same stones. All right, so if you want to join us for the conference, you can call into our office here in Pensacola. It's 850-479-DINO, 850-479-3466, and you can be on the program today. Should be phone lines and everything else working. Lord willing, it'll all work fine. We had a little trouble the last couple times, but call in and be on the program. Or go to our website, drdino.com, DRDINO.com, where we will, you can go to the Creation Science Hour link on the front page and get to us that way. Let me read a few testimonies that Rita, my secretary, who does nothing but email all day long, and still can't keep up sometimes. So if you email us, I apologize, folks. It's a blizzard here of email. So we do get to it eventually. Just hang in there. It's much quicker to call. If you need us, just call on the phone. We take phone calls all day long, too. Here's a testimony from Tim Watts, who writes in. I just want to say thank you for your ministry. Your scientific knowledge is astounding. My dad has been making a lot of tapes, and people are now seeing the light of the world, that is. The church I attend, First Baptist Orange City, Florida, has a targeted discipleship ministry going, and I'm trying to get your videos shown, because too many Christians believe God created us through evolution, and that's wrong. It discredits all we believe. I agree, Tim. I agree. He said, I want to thank you, and I'll keep praying for you, everyone involved in the ministry. With love, Tim Watts. Okay. Here's Morgan, F-O-A-R-D, Ford. I guess you'd pronounce that. Let me turn Eric's speaker down here. I can still hear him coming across. Morgan Ford writes in, hello, Dr. Hovind. My name is Morgan. I recently attended a private Bible study with my girlfriend where they're showing your videotapes, your tape series. I've had many problems fitting into any religion because nobody ever seems to have my answers. When I watched your tapes, they answered more than I thought possible, but there is still so many questions left to ask. I just want to thank you and possibly get more information about your studies, your seminar, and so forth. Maybe I can learn more than I thought I could. Much of what you say could help the world's understanding if it was mainstream information. Maybe sometime I can attend your seminar and learn more about dinosaurs and lies in the textbooks. Please send me information about your studies. We did that. Send them a catalog. By the way, you can get one of those free of charge, or go to the website, drdino.com, where we've got a ton of information on there. It says, I would be greatly appreciative. One more thing. I heard a news story about earthquakes were found in a small canyon, in the Grand Canyon, in small amounts. And they believe that maybe being an earthquake fault was one of the factors of the canyon's creation. Just thought any information was helpful. Interesting, Morgan. Thank you. There's no question the Colorado River did not form the Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon, the top of Grand Canyon is higher than both ends. Okay, the rivers don't flow uphill. No river flows uphill. So the Grand Canyon had to be is a washed-out spillway at minimum, and possibly a fault from an earthquake. I've heard that for years. It's been tossed around. Here's one from Mark Roman, who writes, in October, just a letter thanking you for the great information your ministry provides. I'm a Navy medical officer currently deployed in Africa for 6 months. I will return to my home and base in Jacksonville, Florida sometime in March. I, too, have the desire to teach creation science as a ministry. I've been studying and researching for the past 3 years. Hopefully I can start soon. I was retiring from the Navy in 18 months. I was teaching creation in a home Bible study group and I was leading before I was deployed to Africa. I attend the Vineyard Christian Fellowship in Jacksonville. I have your entire teaching and debate series on DVD with me here in Africa, and I study them daily. Thank God for laptops. Amen. I agree. Mark, be lost without mine. Let's see. Along with the great Creation Science Ministries resources on the Internet, I look forward to seeing you in April in Jacksonville at Trinity Baptist College. Keep up the good work. Sincerely, Mark. Well, thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. We get thousands and thousands of testimonies. Folks, our ministry exists to strengthen your faith in the Word of God. If you're a believer, we want to help strengthen that faith. Number 2, if you're not saved, we want to get you saved. That's why we're doing this. Number 3, if you're saved and you're not doing much for the Lord, then we want to make you uncomfortable. That's the goal we have in mind. Okay, let me go to some of the anti-Hovind websites. We've been trying to answer some of the critics out there. It's been years. I just basically have ignored them. I got too much to do. But we thought we'd take a week or so and go through some of them. Then if we get time, we have the radio questions folder that keeps getting thicker and thicker. People send in radio questions. If you have an AOL instant message you want to send us, you can do that. Go to our website or go to, I got it right in front of me, Jonathan. Let's see, Dr. Dino Live. Screen name, Dr. Dino Live. Okay. And you can get to us there. They give me all these Q notes right under the camera here. No, that's not it.
No, you say later on, let them know.
Oh, the 2003 seminars are online. A little grainy, but they're there. And we're fixing that? Putting them less grainy?
Yeah,
okay.
We're down on the grain.
We're downgrading them. Okay. Whatever you call that. Good. Here we have, I've been answering a couple of the anti-Hovind websites, and if you type in Kent Hovind, you'll find, oh man, there are a lot of anti-Hovind websites here. This is one that comes up a lot. I've got several things in my hand here to try to answer here. About the, here's 2001 by Dave Thomas. Is Dave Thomas the one with the New Mexicans?
Science and Reason.
New Mexicans for Science and Reason. He's the one that they're claiming I refuse to debate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, that's on this other one. Dr. Hovind refuses to debate. Here it is. Well, I'll start with this one then. This is critics. What's this one from, Jonathan? You got all these printed off of these on one page. These are from just a variety of websites, common. Okay. Does Dr. Hovind have a PhD? Here's a question. Well, I would answer that in the last broadcast. Yes, I do. Doctorate in philosophy, and got it from Patriot University. They no longer offer a PhD, and they only have 3 graduates a year in the PhD program when they had it. Of course, many programs only have 1 graduate a year, 1 graduate a decade in a doctor program. It's not a big deal. And it's from a non-accredited school. So Jonathan searched non-accredited colleges and universities. Where'd you find this on the internet, Jonathan? What?
Michigan.gov.
Michigan.gov. Michigan.gov has a list. There's over 50 to a page, so there's about 600 universities and colleges on this list that are unaccredited. Accredited simply means somebody recognizes you for whatever reason. And obviously, you can take a look at the people I've debated on debates on evolution. Just because you get a degree from an accredited school still doesn't mean you know anything. Obviously, anybody believes they came from a rock certainly needs some help. So here's a Michigan.gov, about 600 universities, colleges around the country that are not accredited. Patriot University, are they on the list, Jonathan? Did you find them?
No, it's not a complete list. That's just some of them.
This is just some of them. Okay. There are hundreds and hundreds of non-accredited schools. So, yes, I agree. I've always said, Patriot's not accredited. If that bothers you, don't call me doctor, call me Bubba, call me Kent, call me Hey You, and let's get back to the topic of creation evolution. But I worked pretty hard for my degree. I worked 9 years on it, and we can do that. Put that on there, Jonathan. Okay, here's the next article. Dr. Hovind refuses to debate. The New Mexicans for Science and Reason. nmsr.org. And I quote from Dave Thomas, who has another one here. Dave Thomas. We'll get to that in a second. Well-known creation scientist Kent Hovind touts his unsatisfied $250,000 challenge to anyone who can prove evolution as evidence for creationism. Dave, you got it wrong already. I don't offer evidence for those who can prove evolution as evidence for creationism. That's not what the offer says. You need to read that again. Anyway, the challenge is rigged, of course. For example, since the Big Bang is part of evolution, Hovind argues you'll have to produce an actual Big Bang to get the award. Hovind also tours the country preaching creationism to large crowds. Let me stop right here and say, Dave, you need to change this. It's creation, okay? The ism, the ISM, goes on evolution. It's evolutionism, not creationism. And many people, creationists even fall for this. They allow the evolutionists to say it's evolution versus creationism. There you go. Eric, thanks for joining us. I unplugged your line because your speaker was still on. I didn't know how else to shut the thing off. So,
kind of smarter than the computer.
Well, I hit all the down buttons on there, and it didn't do it. And I was busy since I was on the air, and it was making noise. So you figure out what to do with that right there, okay? After you shut the sound off, okay. So Dave writes and says it's creationism, and Dave, you got that wrong. It's creation, and it's evolutionism, like communism, Marxism, socialism, Nazism, evolutionism. You know, all kind of fit in the same category here. Put the ism on the evolution. Do you do that when you speak, Eric? And do
I do.
That's fine, isn't it? Evolutionism. Okay. Hovind argues you have to produce an actual Big Bang to get the award. Let's see. Hovind is constantly challenging evolutionists to debate at these evangelism sessions. Kent Hovind has been challenged to a real debate, capital R-E-A-L, a scientific debate in the pages of this newsletter on the World Wide Web. Well, Dave, I don't know that your newsletter is a real scientific forum, or this would be a real scientific debate. But I'll tell you what, just for you, Dave, I will fly to New Mexico at my expense. It won't cost you a dime. I'll even pay you $200 if you'll debate me in front of any university in New Mexico. You just let me know when and where, and I'll make a hole in the schedule, and we'll find a way to get there if possible. It have to be midweek, probably, because my weekends are booked for about the next 4 billion years. But come as quick as I can. So, Dave, I don't have time for an email debate nor interest, but I've always been open for any debate on the creation evolution topic in front of any university where it can help the students. So I've not refused to debate. I've consistently refused to debate an email debate, but if open, public challenge, never have I refused one of those that I know of on the creation evolution topic. If somebody wants to debate me on, the merits of underwater basket weaving, I wouldn't debate on that because I don't know how to do that. All right. So this is not correct, Dave. I'd take this page down about the refusing to debate. You're misleading people here at best. And then Dave also has the is this from Dave also, the anti-evolution? Yeah, I think it all is. It's not, this is on the same thing about it. He writes, the best and worst of 2001.
It's okay, Dad, go ahead.
It's okay. You're listening to the program 25 seconds later.
No.
This is going to confuse your little brain, son.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Because there's a delay going through all the electronics, and you're getting it 20 seconds later. And then by the time it actually registers in the brain, it may be, never mind. Never mind. He says, Dave Thomas writes, now that's credibility award goes to Arkansas State Representative Jim Holt, who sponsored House Bill 2548, an obvious attempt to get creationism back into schools. Okay.
Is that what it was? It was definitely not that. Not at all.
Here is the bill, word for word. I helped Jim Holt write this bill. Jim Holt sent it to me, actually, and had me go through it, helped him do a few things, add a few things, delete a few things. There is no mention that I can recall of creation in the bill. This is not a bill to get creation into the schools. Let me read it to you, Dave, since apparently you didn't get a chance to read this. And, this is the bill, okay? HB 2548 from, what's the date here? Regular session of 2001. It doesn't have an actual date on it. Anyway. It says, by representatives, and it lists a whole bunch of names here who are sponsoring the bill. For an act to be entitled, an act to prohibit state agencies and other public entities from using tax dollars to purchase or distribute material that they know or should have known contains or presents as factual information which has been proven false or fraudulent. And for other purposes, subtitle, an act to prohibit state agencies and other public entities from using tax dollars to purchase or distribute material that they know or should have known contains or presents as factual information which has been proven false or fraudulent.
Sounds like a good thing to me.
This is a bill to say you can't use tax dollars to buy materials that are going to teach things that have been proven wrong. The bill never mentions creation. It never mentions evolution. This is not an anti-evolution bill. This is not a bill to get creation into the schools. I don't know how you can miss that, Dave, okay, but it's only like 3 pages, okay? Read it. If you can't handle it, call me. I'll read the whole thing to you. It doesn't mention creation. It doesn't mention evolution. So, You're misinformed at best, or you're lying at worst, okay? This is not an attempt to get creation into schools, as he says. Is this off his website?
Possibly.
Yeah, okay. Holt obtained the testimony of Kent Hovind in hearings on the bill. Many of the HB 2548's statements about fraud in science textbooks can be directly traced to the religious tract Big Daddy produced by Jack Chick Tracts. That's right, a comic book. A columnist, Don Michael of Northwest Arkansas Times, wrote, "If it isn't troubling to know your representatives voted for a bill that used a comic strip as its source, try visiting Hovind's website." Okay, the fact that a columnist writes something, any columnist can write anything. I mean, take a look at any newspaper. You see this all the time, you know. And this is, Dave, you're either, again, you're misinformed or you're deliberately lying, okay? The fact that Jack Chick wrote a comic book about the fraud and lies in the textbooks does not mean that the bill got the facts from the comic book. The fact is, the things mentioned in this bill are lies. They are used in textbooks. I have textbooks all around me.
Things mentioned are true. There are facts.
It's a fact that there are lies in the textbooks.
Right, yeah.
And the bill was simply to get the lies out of the textbooks. Don't lie to the kids. Like, don't teach them that I guess all the language here they've got from all this whereas and everything else. It's got a section on carbon dating, okay? Don't teach the theory that fossils represent missing links between life forms. It cannot be proven that the fossils had any offspring. That's true.
Yeah.
It is incorrect to have a textbook say, this fossil proves that it's a missing link or an intermediate between one kind and another, because you don't know that that fossil represents an animal that had any kids. All you know is it died. Okay, it left its bones behind. It's got a section on potassium-argon dating, rubidium-strontium dating, the different so-called cavemen that have all been proven false, Haeckel's embryos, proven false in 1874 by Professor William Hiss. Ernst Haeckel was convicted of fraud for this in 1874. Human embryos never have gills, not even rudimentary gill slits. Take the gill slits out of the book. So Jack Chick wrote a comic book called Big Daddy, and then later he asked me if I would update it. The comic's been out for years. No, this is incorrect. It's either totally misinformed or deliberately lying, Dave, to say that the information comes from a comic book. The comic book contains some of the same information because they're both right. The bill is right. The comic book is right. I'm right. In my seminar, there are things that are used to support evolution that are wrong. We'll talk about this after the break. All right, folks, welcome back to the Creation Science Hour. We are getting the AOL Instant Messages, and we can take a few of those, but we want to stay on the Hovind websites as long as we can here. Try to straighten out some of these guys that either can't read or can't think, and we'll help them.
From My Savior in 1980, he's wondering about getting in touch with George Norrie, the guy who took over Coast to Coast Art Bell show.
Yes.
It's on very late, I believe, at night, isn't that right?
Middle
of the night.
Middle of the night, all night.
Evidently, he's looking for people to be on the show, and he wants, if people email producer@coasttocoastam.com, then there's a possibility we can get on the air again. That'd be wonderful.
I've been on there twice. I'd love to go on again. It's producer at what?
Producer@coasttocoastam.com.
Coasttocoastam.com. Used to be the Art Bell Show. I think it still is Art Bell Show, but anyway. Art has retired, and George Norrie, telling me he'd like to have Kent Hovind on there. I've been on twice. It's on from like midnight to 4 in the morning.
It's crazy.
Remember first time? You were in high school.
Oh, yeah. Woke us up in the middle of the night, said, "Hey, Eric, get out here. I just gave out the phone numbers," and all the phone lines lit up.
I talked from 1 till 3 in the morning, and I thought, I do a lot of radio programs, and I thought, nobody's listening to this, you know. Finally, Art Bell said, "Would you like to give out your phone number so people can get your catalog?" I said, "Sure." So I gave out the phone number, and I'm sitting there in the office, and here it is, 3 in the morning. We got like 6 lines, and all of them lit up. There's nobody there to answer it.
It's crazy.
So we went to a break or something. I went in and woke up my wife, my daughter, and Eric, and other son, and said, "Get out here and answer the phone." And the phone rang incessantly for almost 3 weeks.
Yeah, it was unreal. It really was.
As soon as you hung it up, bang, rang again, you know. So
if you'd like to put us through that again, just go ahead and email producer@coasttocoastam.com. Tell them to have Kent Hovind on there, and we'll be happy to do that. AOL Instant Message from, how in the world, I don't know what in the world your screen name is, but you're wondering about rumors of Darwin becoming a Christian on his deathbed. That has not been confirmed. We've heard that as well. But there is absolutely no confirmation of that. We don't think you can know that. Some people say, don't teach that. You can't say that's for sure. To be honest, we don't know the truth, do we?
Well, he died before I was born, quite a while.
Me too.
Matter of fact, before anybody alive today was born. So
we don't know.
apparently, his wife or somebody made up the rumor about him repenting, but I don't think there's any way to chase that one down for sure now. I don't use the story.
Christian in Iowa, thank you for writing in. He's wondering if the seminars that are going to be appearing on Sky Angel are going to be newer than the ones that he's already got on DVD. His are 2 years old.
Oh, yes. We've redone the whole series this year. Derek, you've been working on the DVDs. They're all redone. New 2003 edition. Online.
Yeah,
the grainy ones.
Online?
The grainy ones.
Oh, the grainy ones.
Oh, they're a little grainy, yeah. But you can hear it.
No, they're great. It does a great job of showing.
So they're going to degraininate them or whatever they do to make them a little better resolution. But then we got to have a T1 line. We got to get a T1 line stretcher or something, don't we, to make it bigger? Just wax it. Just wax it so it goes. Yeah, we're not going to get a T3 line. You know what we pay for that T1?
No, OC3.
Is that
OC3?
OC3? Is that as big as you can get?
New York? We don't want it. And it costs more?
I would imagine that would cost.
We don't have one. We don't want one. Okay, so Dave, you're saying that I got the information for House Bill 2548 from a comic book. This is incorrect, okay? Now, the bill was defeated, he says. Let me explain why. I went and testified before the Arkansas House Representatives Committee that was considering this bill. There were 20 representatives. I spoke for 45 minutes. I went through point by point everything in the bill, and I said, folks, this is correct. Mr. Holt is right when he wrote this bill, that the following items are fraudulent. And so we went through point by point. When I got all done, a woman from the ACLU.
Definitely not a lady.
ACLU is the American Communist Lawyers Union. She got up and said, this is obviously an anti-evolution bill, which is what somebody else called it on here. Here we go, right here. The anti-evolution bill.
There it is.
Dave, or whoever, anybody, there's probably 10 websites, the anti-Hovind sites that have this in there, right?
So they all do.
They probably all do. The evolution is not mentioned in this bill. This is not an anti-evolution bill. Matter of fact, the bill itself, Jonathan, you just printed this off of an atheist website, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember where that was? It doesn't come out on here.
atheistthings.org or something.
Atheistsomething.org or... Anyway, you can call Jonathan if you don't believe me, but you can get the actual bill as it was voted on. Here's what happened. Evolution's not mentioned, creation's not mentioned. So quit calling it an anti-evolution bill. It was a bill to require accuracy in textbooks. Don't lie to the kids. I testified for 45 minutes and said this bill is correct. There are lies in the textbooks that ought to be banned. And this woman from the ACLU got up and said this is an anti-evolution bill. One of the representatives said, ma'am, evolution is not mentioned in this bill. And she said, everything you have in here listed is used as evidence for evolution. And the representative said, well, ma'am, is it true that these things are proven false? And she got kind of fidgety and she said, well, yes, but this is an anti-evolution bill. He said, ma'am, if the stuff is proven false, take it out of the book. Why would we want to pay for lies in the textbook? SkepticFriends.org, you can print out the bill. And the folks at SkepticFriends.org ought to wise up. Read the bill yourself. It's not an anti-evolution bill. It's an anti-lie bill, okay?
That's right.
Don't lie to the kids. And if you're still supporting a lie to support your theory, wise up. You've been fooled, okay? The Bible says the Satan is the father of lies. And he's laughing at you for believing in him. Anyway, after the ACLU got done testifying for struggling through their testimony for like 15 minutes, they went out and got several other ACLU lawyers, and they went around, and for the next 3 days, before the bill came for a vote, they lobbied those congressmen so hard, 12 of them were scared to vote. They knew the bill was right, they knew it was the right thing to do, but they were scared to vote, so they took a walk. And the bill missed passing by 6 votes.
Yeah, they make it sound like, it failed the first time, and they made it sound like it was a really bad bill and a really stupid bill. That was a great bill. Many people chose not to vote on it.
They took a walk, and you ought to find out who your representatives were that chose to take a walk, and they're more scared of the ACLU than doing what's right, and they ought to get a new job picking peaches or changing tires and get a representative in there that has some backbone, that doesn't care what anybody thinks, that I'm going to do what's right.
Wow. This would be a different world.
That'd be a different world.
country.
If congressmen and representatives had that attitude, I'm going to do what's right. We need some statesmen, not politicians. Politics. You know what politics is? Poly means many, and a tick is a blood-sucking animal. So when you get many blood-sucking animals together, that's politics.
Wow.
Okay? Amen. That'll preach, brother. Okay. Here we go. I was on page 1 here. Okay. The anti-evolution bill. In March 2001, Representative Jim Holt of Arkansas introduced an anti-evolution bill, HB 2548.
Didn't we just discuss it?
We just did. I'm just pointing out this is another website that's saying it's an anti-evolution bill. You need to fix this, guys. It's not an anti-evolution bill. It's an anti-lie bill, okay? Worse, Jim Holt invited his good friend Dr. Kent Hovind, known as Dr. Dino, a young earth creationist from Pensacola, Florida, to help him draft this bill and give testimony to his fellow House members. Holt was later criticized for this in a blistering editorial in the Northwest Arkansas Times because none of the legislators in the House bothered to check on Dr. Dino's wacky, madcap credentials beforehand. Okay, I don't know which website this is from, but they're missing the whole point. Okay, I do have a doctor's degree from an unaccredited university. I've said that many times. And if you don't like it, fine. Call me Kent, call me Bubba, call me Hey You. But the fact that somebody writes a blistering editorial means nothing. There are blistering editorials written about everybody that's ever tried to do anything, good or bad, okay? There are blistering editorials against Ronald Reagan and against Bill Clinton and against, well, maybe not Bill Clinton. The media loves Bill Clinton. But I'm sure there are blistering editorials. But the fact that there's an editorial written by somebody, that's not proof of anything, okay? You need to wise up. Get that off your website. Here we go. From home.comcast, comcast.net/tilde, and then F. Steiger, letter F, and then STEIGER/Kent Hovind. Okay. Hovind, these are sarcastic remarks after attending one of my seminars. Hovind has discovered a cure for cancer. A vitamin B17 deficiency causes cancer just like vitamin C deficiency causes scurvy. Taking B17 plus C will cure your cancer. See canceranswer.com or worldwithoutcancer.com. Well, he meant this to be sarcastic because I didn't discover a cure for cancer. God told us in Genesis chapter 1, verse 29, eat the fruit, the vegetables, and the seeds. Yeah. The seeds contain vitamin B17. Your sister, my daughter, has a husband named Paul who had got very serious cancer just a year ago, took a bunch of vitamin B17 and a whole bunch of other vitamins and chemotherapy, decided to go that way, and is absolutely perfectly fine.
Yep.
He's back up to 220.
He's back up to his original weight.
6'2", excellent shape, and he runs our shipping department here, so it works, okay? You can go to apricotsfromgod.com and see many testimonies there of people who've been cured by taking vitamin B17. So, yes, I didn't discover the cure, though. You got this wrong on your website. Here, Hovind says, the whiter the bread, the quicker you're dead, because white bread lacks vitamin E and lecithin. True, guilty. I do say that. Seminar part 2, if you'd like to watch that. It's not that the bread kills you. It's that what you're not getting that kills you. You get heart problems, circulatory problems from lack of vitamin E, lecithin, and omega-3 fatty acids. That is a biological fact. If you run your car low on oil, you will have problems with it. Okay? The main bearings will seize up, the rod bearings will seize up, and pistons will seize to the cylinder walls, and you have all kinds of bad problems you don't want for your engine, I would hope. And if you run your body low on vitamins, different things happen. There are 16 vitamins, 3 oils, and 60 minerals your body needs just a little bit of every single day. If you don't get them, something goes wrong. He says, sarcastic remark number 3. Adam and Eve were vegetarians, which is one reason why they lived so long, 900 plus years. Guilty. I say that, and I agree. I think there's probably one. I'm not a vegetarian. You don't have to be a vegetarian, but that Bible does say they were vegetarians in Genesis chapter 1, verse 9. Number 4. Hovind, sarcastic remark here. Ica stones from Peru show clear drawings of dinosaurs indicating that man and dinosaurs lived together. Do we have the Ica stones? We had them the other day. We took them back to the museum.
Yeah, they're in the museum now. They were in the museum about 30 minutes ago. So.
Okay, they're still in the museum. We have 4 of the Ica stones. Dennis Swift from Beaverton, Oregon, has been to Peru many times and has studied the Ica stones more than anybody I know, and he's coming to speak at our conference. You can contact him. Jonathan, do you have Dennis Swift? He's linked on our website. Dennis Swift. He's in Beaverton, Oregon. He pastors a Nazarene church there. We're working on that. We'll get him to be a Baptist before it's over with. But I talked to him yesterday, as a matter of fact, for quite a while. And he's been having. I'm going to speak at his his Northwest Creation Conference in February. If you live up in the Portland area, come on over to that conference. I'll be there for that one, Lord willing. So yes, I agree. I'm guilty. The Ica stones in Peru show dinosaurs and people living together. I'm guilty of that one. Number 4, or 5. In ancient literature, they were called dragons. They were actually dinosaurs. The way they killed the dragons, namely T-Rex, was to pull off their arm and let them bleed to death. He says, I would like to see Kent Hovind try to pull the arm off a T-Rex. You got a misspelling in here, by the way, whoever did this website. Pull the arm of a T-Rex. Pull off. Anyway. What I do in my seminar, I say that the Beowulf story says that he pulled off the arm and the creature bled to death. And then I show a picture of a Babylonian cylinder seal where somebody is pulling the arm off a dragon. It's a Babylonian cylinder seal, probably from 600 BC. So I'm showing the historical facts. The Beowulf story does say that. The Babylonian cylinder seal does show that. What's the big deal? I don't know if that's how they did it or not. I've never done it, but I do simply I teach the historical facts about the ancient literature. Number 6. Oh, you got another one? Well, let me finish a couple more. Leviathan mentioned in the Bible is a fire-breathing dragon. I agree. I'm guilty. I teach that. Seminar part, the green series of tapes. Noah's Ark probably had a moon pool in it with 12 anchors to hold it down. Noah was 12 feet tall. Noah's Ark is located in the Durupinar site in Turkey. Just ask Ron Wyatt, who has iron rivets from it. I don't recall God telling Noah to use rivets, but they must have been better than the ones on the Titanic. Well, it's interesting. You know, the Titanic was built by professionals and the Ark was built by amateurs. Think that one through. Without a building permit on Noah's Ark.
Wow.
Think about that. Would have taken him 400 years to build it with a building permit. Okay.
Only 120 without. Not bad.
Not bad. It would have cost a lot more, too. Okay, number 8. We should not have public schools. Oh, boy. What I say in the seminar, you got to be careful the way they word things. Kind of like Satan, the way he just barely changes a little wording, you know.
I'm very careful when I speak on this. I do not say we should not have public schools.
I say the question to consider is, should we have public schools?
Right.
My brother's in his 34th year teaching public school. Brother Ross, Uncle Ross for you. Great Christian, loves the Lord, led me to the Lord. Good guy, great teacher. Gets all kinds of awards, being the best teacher ever and everything. My mother taught for years, retired from teaching public school. There are many good teachers. Dan's desk right there, Dan's gone, but he was in public school, principal for...
Administrator for 12 years.
Altogether 16 years. Sometimes he was just teaching, sometimes he was administrator, but Dan works here, called Dan Woods in our ministry. There are many good godly teachers that love the Lord that work in the public school system. So, but still, I think, and I mentioned in the seminar, from a constitutional perspective, the federal government should not be involved in education whatsoever.
Right.
Nor half the other stuff they're involved in.
That's different than saying that we should not have public schools.
I just simply say, maybe we should ask the question, should we have public schools?
Right.
It's time to stop and think about that. Okay, number 9. Darwin has been disproved at darwindisproved.com. Let me tell you the story on this one. I'm going into a seminar. I think it was Philadelphia. I don't remember where. I speak a lot, but this guy walks up and said, "Hey, Brother Hovind, have you seen the website darwindisproved.com?" I said, "No." He said, "You ought to check it out. It shows they just found these fossils and it proves that, you know, man and dinosaurs were together and Darwin has been disproved." I said, "Oh, that's interesting." So that night I'm speaking in my seminar and question answer period, I believe it was, came up and somebody said, "What about Darwin?" I forget what the question was anyway. And I said, "Well, I was just handed this note that said there's a new website called darwindisproved.com. And is that still in there? I think it still is, isn't it? Check that out, Jonathan. See if, can you do that?
It's the New Mexicans for Science.
Oh, it's the New Mexicans for It's Dave Thomas again. There we go. Okay.
That's what I'm on right now.
It moved. Okay. If you're looking for that rascal Kent Hovind, click here. This is the New Mexican site. Okay. Hot news of the week for December 12th. I'm in there again. Well,
Like
Dave called into the program, or I'll tell you what, I'll come to New Mexico and debate all the professors with half my brain tied behind my back on 2 conditions. I get half the time, and we talk about one topic at a time. Simple. Okay. So I mentioned that night that I was just handed this note saying darwindisproved.com is a website you should check out. End of story. They started blasting me because the darwindisproved.com is a joke website to make fun of creationists. It shows a fossil of a dinosaur just about to bite a human, and they're both fossilized or something, if I recall. I had never seen the site. They just was handing me this note walking in. Probably they did it as a setup so that they could, make another anti-Hovind website.
Who knows?
Anyway, so I did mention it. Never mention it again. Mention it one time, and they're still on the internet, I would guess 4 or 5 years later, saying that I was taken in by an April Fool's joke. Dave, you're mistaken. I wasn't taken in by the joke. I simply said I was handed this note. This is a website to go check out. I didn't know if it's legitimate.
You know, there's something, a lot of the stuff, like, you've already retracted your comments of this. They still use it also on Talk Origins. They had quotes from 12 years ago that you've already retracted.
Quotes from 12 years ago on Talk Origins. I don't know if they can hear you on our mic here, Jonathan.
All their material is already retracted, but you don't even use it. But that's all they have to build anti.
Yeah, you got a mic right there. Yeah. Get on the soundboard there. Yeah, I know. They're so desperate, They anything Jesus said, they would use it for years and years, and twist it. Satan even twisted Jesus' words. Okay, break in about 2 minutes here. Go ahead and read that one, Eric, while I look over these other ones here.
Hellbound No More is this guy's screen name. And his question is about the giant sloth that might still be alive in China. He said many people have heard it and most of all smelled it. But it's time for a break, and we'll tell you about this right after the break.
The giant sloth. DrDino.com. Hang in there, folks. We'll be back.
So where are we going? Where is that?
All right, folks, welcome back to the Creation Science Hour. This is the final segment. Let's finish. What was the question about the giant sloth in China?
Yeah, giant sloth
heard
in
about
China. Let's see here. Hellbound No More writes, heard about a giant sloth that might still be alive in China. Many people have heard it and most of all smelled it. They say they shot it with a high-powered rifle and they can't bring it down. They can't kill it. A scientist says if you look at an example of its fur, it gets rocks and other things stuck in its fur, so it makes it bulletproof. Interesting.
Well, it is true that sloths get all kinds of stuff in their fur. Sloths apparently are not real bright, okay? And they even turn green sometimes from mold on their fur. They don't shower too often, and the smell I can understand. As far as the giant sloth, I've not heard of the one in China. I have heard of them in the far tip of South America called Patagonia. Matter of fact, when I believe it was even Darwin, or when some of the explorers went around to the tip of South America, they stopped in Patagonia. And maybe it wasn't Darwin. Somebody will criticize me for that. So I said, I believe, I don't remember. I read the story. But some of the explorers stopped there in the 1800s, and the natives had actual giant fur, like capes they would wear in the cold, made out of the giant sloth. And they said, oh, yeah, some of the animals are still alive. They would raise them in caves like they would bears or something, you know, or animals, cows, for their fur. So there are many stories from the 1800s. There are none in this century that I'm aware of. This would be the first one, Hellbound No More. If there is, if you find any more about it, let me know. I have not heard of that one. If you want to AOL Instant Message us, go to DrDinoLive.com. No, Dr. Dino Live is our screen name. You can go to DrDino.com is our website. Or you can call in, by the way. The phone system is working. Secretaries are in there trying to get Christmas packages ordered and out as quick as possible. But you can still call in if you'd like. 850-479-DINO or 877-479-DINO if you're in the U.S. One more there, and we'll go back to the websites.
From My Savior, 1998. Hello, Dr. Hovind. My question for you today is, with all the evidence that is out there proving that dinosaurs, dragons, lived with man and may have been used for everyday living, you even show the Ica stones, which show different kinds of dinosaurs that we know of. Why can't... The wording here is crazy. Why can't they get past their mental block and say we might be wrong?
Okay, so, first question is, why can't the evolutionists say we might be wrong about
the dinosaurs?
Well, you can't just say, okay, evolution's wrong, because then you're left with a void. Well, how did we get here? The only other option is somebody created the world. And you can't just start accepting the creation story, because that brings along some baggage. See, if the creation story is true, there was a creator. If there's a creator, there might be some rules. That's what they're running from. They don't like the idea of God telling them what to do.
Second question here is it possible, from My Savior 1980, is it possible that Noah used the dinosaurs and other animals to help build the ark?
Possible. Don't know. Dinosaurs, most reptiles are not real bright. It's pretty hard to train a reptile to do much of anything, okay? They may have had great strength and been able to do something, but how would you train a dinosaur? I don't know.
All right. Then...
Now, we do have one on our climbing wall showing dinosaurs building, so that's proof.
There you go. That's proof.
We have a painting of it. Yeah, they did. We'll answer your question, yeah.
Then I heard once that the ark was an example of Christ. It would have 3 levels to it: Father, Son, Holy Ghost. And most people overlook that it says that God told Noah to get in the ark, so God was on the ark.
Yeah, the Lord said, come into the ark. He didn't say go into the ark. Fascinating. And later at the end of the flood, he said, go out of the ark. So he was in the ark. The type of Christ, I think that's probably true. There's many typologies in the Bible, but you have to be careful. You can get carried away on that subject and
typologies,
see a typology and everything, you know. Okay, a couple of more. The sarcastic comments about Kent Hovind's seminar found on home.comcast.net/f_Steiger/Kent Hovind. One of the nearly 1,000 anti-Hovind websites that we have decided to answer a few. Okay, so he says, Hovind says, a hyperbaric chamber can heal you and grow giants like before Noah's flood, where there were 2 times the oxygen and pressure. This is incorrect, okay? I do think hyperbarics have a great healing potential, and there's thousands of people involved in hyperbaric treatments right now. Hyperbaric chambers all over the country. There's a big one here in Pensacola, Florida. The Navy's used them for years to heal sailors who go down and get, or skin divers who go down and get the bends. You can go to hyperbaric.com. Jonathan, isn't there a whole list on our website of links about hyperbarics? Yeah, go to drdino.com, go to the links section. But as far as them making you grow giants like before Noah's flood, this is incorrect. I think we are, and I say this in my seminar, I think we are genetically inferior. And if I gave you 500 Chihuahuas and said, here, I want you to crossbreed these until you get a Great Dane, it's not going to happen.
Never.
The genes are gone for bigness. By the time you get a Chihuahua, after all these generations of raising Chihuahuas, there's a lot of stuff gone out of the gene pool. Chihuahuas are swimming in the shallow end of the gene pool. They spend all that time to produce a dog that is 100% useless.
And annoying.
And annoying, right?
Sorry for all you Chihuahua owners out
not
there.
too bright, but that's okay. They're good. Now, our Canardly was the best. Nicky.
Nicky. Oh, what a great Canardly.
And when Nicky, you could hardly tell what kind of dog he was. And when he died, Eric had the brilliant idea that my wife rejected. You remember that?
Oh, yeah. I wanted to stuff him. He was our dog for 13 years. I thought, why in the world are we going to throw away a perfectly good dog?
Put him in the museum.
Exactly. I mean, this dog's a part of our life.
Couldn't talk Mom into it.
I mean,
and my daughter,
he could still be a friend, just couldn't, wag his tail. We could have made it work.
We could have rigged it up.
We could have rigged it up.
John's good. At the welding shop, John could make a pneumatic
Put some wheels on his legs.
wheels. Yeah.
Pull him around behind me.
Have him bark. He didn't bark much, though. Anyway, off topic. Okay, so I do not say that hyperbaric chambers would grow giants. I don't say that. Now, you might want to get hold of Carl Baugh, who's coming to speak at our Southeast Creation Conference, who has several hyperbaric chambers and knows a great deal about it. He raised fruit flies in his hyperbaric chamber, and they live 10 times longer than normal.
A whole 48 hours.
No, they live a long time. Fruit flies don't live real long. But
Carl Ball's website is creationevidence.org. Creationevidence.org if you want to check that out.
Right. Creation, you got that one right? Yeah, okay. Okay, so I do not say that hyperbaric chambers will make a person grow to be a giant. Whoever wrote this website, you're either mistaken or you're lying, okay? He says, this was confirmed by scientists who studied air bubbles in amber. I do cover that. Time magazine, November 1987, page 82, has an article about air bubbles in amber contain 30% more oxygen than we have today. That's what I say in my seminar. And I say I think the pre-flood world probably had greater oxygen concentration and greater air pressure. I do say that. I do believe that. Then I say in my seminar, it's a sarcastic remark here, Dr. Mori in Japan grew a tomato plant 40 feet high, yielding 15,000 tomatoes. That is correct. I do say that, and it is true.
A football player, this is from Flav of K. I saw Terrell Owens, who's a football player of the 49ers. He said that he uses a hyperbaric chamber to help him recover, yeah.
There you go.
Thank you for letting us know that, sir.
Many pro teams have one, have a hyperbaric chamber.
Yeah, whole list of them do. Yeah.
Right, because they heal faster. Simple biological fact. Number 11, sarcastic comment. The King James Version is the only reliable translation. The King James translates the first day in Genesis 1 and not one day or day one. Hovind needs to look at the Hebrew. The cardinal number 1 is used as opposed to the ordinal number first, as in the rest of the chapter. There is no definite article in the Hebrew. Well, the point I say in my seminar is the King James translators said the first day, and they got it right. In the Hebrew, it's actually day 1, day 2, day 3. And some of the newer translations have changed it to say one day instead of day 1. There's a vast difference between one day and day 1.
Yeah.
It's incredible difference. Think about it. So yes, the King James, I believe, is the only reliable translation. I wouldn't trust any other translation. I would never defend one in a debate. There are serious flaws in the other translations. However, it took me 35 years to get to this point. So I'm patient with people who are, using other translations. I did for years. I have a whole shelf of them. I have some here and a whole shelf over there. Here's a whole shelf right here of different Bible translations. Let's see, here's a bunch up here. My reviled substandard perversion is there.
Not that you guys out there can see it. Sorry about that.
He zoomed in on it. And Derek's on the ball with the camera. Okay.
Well, these people
anyway, so
can't see it.
People on the radio probably didn't see that. Put your ear on the radio and, never mind.
Okay.
Yes, I have slowly come to the position, after much study on the topic, that the King James is God's preserved word in English. But if you're not in that position yet, hey, keep studying. You'll get there. Okay. Number 12, warning, Satan may be driving around in a UFO. Okay, this was from my frequently asked question, in a seminar. Somebody said, what do you think about UFOs? I gave 4 different books by, let's see, they're here someplace. I could find them. 40 shelves of books here. But I mentioned that Stan Deyo wrote a book on UFO, and Stan Deyo's been on Art Bell Show many times. And many people have written books about UFO, and they say there are several conclusions. One is they're top secret government experiments. Nobody knows about it yet. 2 is, the most obvious one is they're misidentified. They saw a weather balloon or swamp gas or too much vodka the night before or whatever. 3 is that they're demonic. And I just say, I don't know what they are. These are the theories. If they're demonic, then it could be demons or Satan is using this as a means of rapid transportation because they can't be more than one place at a time, whereas God is all places at all times. So, I do not say the devil drives a UFO. I do say I don't know what they are, and these are the theories. That's the way it's supposed to work, I thought. Okay, we're not going to get all through. Well, Jonathan, we can do a few more. Give me 4 minutes. Okay.
4 minutes.
Number 12, radiometric dating is wrong because moon rocks have different dates, and I cover all this. I agree. Radioactive dating is wildly wrong. See my seminar, part 7. Light is slowing down. So much for E equals mc squared, he writes in here. There's no scientific evidence to support this contention. See creationist speed of light argument number whatever. Well, there is plenty to support the speed of light. Matter of fact, there's a book. You probably wouldn't know what. You know what it looks like, John?
Yep.
By what's his name? Just came out here recently.
Well,
Right about there, about knee level, somewhere in there. The speed of light.
Faster than the speed of light.
On this end of the shelf, down to lower, I think. Down a little lower. Anyway. Yes, there is much evidence that the speed of light is changing and has changed over history. And there's a Discover magazine, when was that? April 2002.
No,
September 2003.
Yeah.
Ran an article about was Einstein wrong? Go to Discover magazine, September 2003, I believe. We cover that on seminar part 7 of our new series. Okay, he says, you got it. You toss that over here, John. Faster than the speed of light. Book came out. Of course, the guy gets ostracized saying this can't be true. But there's much evidence that the speed of light is not a constant. Thank you, John. Okay, number 15. There was no continental drift, no Pangea. Well, you're confusing this here. I agree there was no Pangea. As far as continental drift, I don't think there's any question the continents are moving. But does that prove they've been moving for millions of years, is what I say on seminar part 6. He says, number 16, we only use 10% of our brains. This is probably true about Hovind. I said in my seminar that Einstein said we probably use 10% of our brains. I was quoting Albert Einstein, and that is what he said, that we probably use 10% of our brains.
And it's probably true.
And probably
many
true.
of us probably use much less.
I had students use much less than that.
Yes.
I mean, much less. Number 17, dinosaurs are alive and well on planet Earth. Someone saw a yellow dinosaur with a beard. There are many reports of pterodactyls flying around Papua New Guinea that glow in the dark. Yes, I wrote glow in the dark. Just ask Carl Baugh, who has been there. True, by the way. The natives report the creature has bioluminescence. There's probably something living in its fur or skin. If it hangs in caves all day and comes out and flies around at night, there's something on it that makes it glow, has a slight glow to it. A fisherman caught a small dinosaur in Lake Erie near Ohio. It's now in Carl Baugh's museum on display. This is not correct. It's never been on display. Carl Baugh bought it from the guy who found it on the beach of Lake Erie and has tried to get it analyzed. It's just real expensive to do DNA testing, so it's been years sitting in his museum warehouse. It has never been on display, so you need to correct your website here. We don't know what it is. It's just an interesting creature found on the beach of Lake Erie. And Hovind showed many pictures of dozens of dinosaurs. So I thought I ought to find dozens of dinosaurs in the Delaware River. Well, 2 minutes. Go ahead and look. Okay. I'd recommend anyone who wants a good laugh to go to this site. Sadly, most people are taking this as gospel truth. Then he's got one more here I need to hit on the Trail of Tears. He's quoting my seminar here. The Trail of Tears was where the Cherokee Indians were driven out of Chattanooga area all the way to Oklahoma. 1/3 of the entire nation died en route. It's all true. Evolution is responsible for what happened to the Indians. How can any Indian believe in evolution? Just blows my mind, Hovind says. The evolution theory is what destroyed them. And Dr. Forrest writes, this is an interesting piece of information, especially since the Trail of Tears occurred in 1830 and Darwin's Origin of Species was not published until 1859, Dr. Forrest writes. Well, Dr. Forrest, or whoever has this, the evolution theory was out way before Darwin.
Yeah.
Darwin just made it popular. And it is true that what happened to the Indians is a result of the belief that they were inferior species. It was the evolution theory. Charles Darwin's grandfather, Erasmus Darwin, wrote about evolution, wrote a poem about it, and Darwin copied most of his stuff and never gave Grandpa any credit at all. So Yes, the Indians is, our evolution is responsible largely for what happened to Indians. Tune in to part 5 about that. Join us again tomorrow, folks. That's all we got time for today. Thanks a lot.